Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, hosted by Aaron Locks and sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. Join us live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Aaron sits down with coaches, recreation professionals, and industry leaders to discuss youth sports, athlete development, coaching excellence, and the positive impact sports have on young people and communities. Tune in for expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical strategies to help young athletes succeed. In this episode, Youth Sports Mastery welcomes Anthony Harris for a conversation about the value of rec sports, positive coaching, parent involvement, and helping kids build confidence and life skills.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Youth Sports Mastery Show. I'm Aaron Locks. I'm your host, and I am excited for another great conversation today about youth sports, how it fits within Parks and Recreation, and what's going on with kids in general in their lives. If you haven't had a chance to see the show before and you're new to it, what we do each week is we bring on guests and we dive in to the world of youth sports. We talk a little bit about what's going on with kids back in the day and how that translates going forward, what the trends are, what's going on in Parks and Recreation and in schools, in the rec space, all the way up through the pros. So it's a lot of fun. What I like to do is we're going to go ahead. We got a couple spots we're going to run here. When we come out of those, we'll bring on our guest today. It's going to be Anthony Harris, and I'm excited to share with you. So, Joby, go ahead and run the spots, and we'll see you guys in 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly. From lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. And even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens, all from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product? Growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move Parks and Rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
I get excited every time I see those spots. It just reminds us that we're building something here, and Craig and his team have done a phenomenal job as we get this thing going. So we're going to bring on our guest, Joby. Why don't you bring in Anthony, and we can bring in Anthony is hanging out down in the LA area. Is that the best way to explain it, Anthony?
Yeah, Inglewood, California, currently right next to SoFi Stadium.
There you go. Inglewood, California. Nice. Southern California. So it's probably not frozen down there, right? You know what I'm saying?
No, we're approaching 80 degrees, sir.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. I'm up in Northern California. I can't complain either. So,
Yeah.
why don't you just real quick give us a little bit of background in terms of what you do? I know that, but man, I pulled your list up. It's a long list. But why don't you just kind of give your job and then kind of a little bit about what you do, particularly in the youth sports space?
Yeah, so for the last 6 years, I've been serving as recreation supervisor here in the city of Inglewood. And what that entails is really running citywide youth sports and, overseeing 6 of the 9 parks in the city, doing some special events. So really taking the pulse of the community, dealing with a lot of patrons, a database of 1,000 families, doing sports, fall, winter, spring, and just keeping kids active, helping them understand some of the life lessons associated with their participation in youth sports, and then really focusing on development and having fun. So that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. Prior to that, I spent 15 plus years as a director of athletics on the high school and the collegiate level. Longtime high school football and track and field coach. And then a former collegiate athlete. And man, in that industry, I feel like I hadn't worked a day in my life because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
But now when I look back on it, Aaron, really the most gratifying thing is the impact that I've had on young people coming through over the years. Connecting with some of my former players on LinkedIn and how, they mentioned, Coach, I wouldn't be where I am without you. And so really understanding that true impact that we that work with young people have the opportunity to do. And it's a big responsibility, man. And
and it's so needed. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a real deal. It's such a needed thing. So to be able to do that. But I love the fact, like you said, it's like, I mean, again, I started working in 1983 with Coach Wooden. So, doing from that and then building your way through it, the volume of people and lives we have impact with. But like you say, it's not like you get up and go, man, I have to go to work. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're working. I know you work hard. You know what I mean? But
Sure.
But I want to go back and learn a lot about little Anthony a little bit. Where did little Anthony grow up? And tell me about your sports journey. What was that like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I grew up in Altadena, California, where we recently had some wildfires. Unfortunately, the 4 homes that I grew up in Altadena were all burned to the ground. So it's unrecognizable now. But I grew up in Altadena, Pasadena area, and single parent home. Mom did hair for 40 years in the community. So I was in Little League. I was in Pop Warner football. If I wasn't home, I was at the Boys and Girls Club. And back in those days, you could play in the street until the street lights came on. I really kind of, spent my entire life in youth sports. And again, when you look back on it, man, with some of the funnest times in my life. And now that I can kind of dissect those things, I was looking at my coaches as potential mentors or father figures because I just didn't have that at home.
That hits me a lot. With my dad leaving when I was so young too, and being able to have the Coach Islis and Racines and Chavez, and I guarantee you can name all those coaches too that have such an impact. So how cool it is that you've come in the rec space in athletics and sports to be able to give back, right? And it's funny because you don't probably think of it as giving back, but yet every day you go to work, right? And that's what we do as we give back. But what pulled you first into sports? So you played sports, you come through it, and then like when did you start realizing, I think I can get paid to work in sports? Like what was that first job in sports for you? What did that look like?
Man, I was a quarterback in high school, and my coach, Coach Brownfield, CIF Southern Section Hall of Fame.
Whoop, that out. Yeah.
God rest his soul. He would call the play, Aaron, and I would change the play, and we would be successful. And he said, Harris, you're going to be a coach one of these days. And so he kind of guided me into the physical education, teaching, coaching realm at the college level. And so once I finished playing college ball, I went right into teaching and coaching. And it was something that was a great fit for me. I'd always been a kid magnet, and I enjoyed it probably just as much as the young people I was working with enjoyed it. So that's kind of where it all started for me.
Okay. There's something magical about whether you're on a campus. I know, I've worked on some campuses and been around it, and the energy and in terms of the youth sports and preparing the team for the games and that. So I'm curious, when you were coaching, you had that camaraderie. I just watched the 49ers, the rise of the Niners, and it was really cool. Just I lived through that, and I happen to know a lot of guys that I saw, but then to see it almost an outer body experience and go, man, that's right. You know what I mean? Like that, to look back, this is your life. I wonder if you look back on that, give me one or two things that you think that have kind of come into play for you that you learned looking back. Because, we're old now a little bit, so we can look back a little bit and go, man, I wish I would have known it then on that journey. You know what I mean? Is there anything like that sits home for you? Like you look back and go, man, either as a player or as a young coach?
Yeah. I mean, I think as a young coach, I really got it in regards to it's so much more than the game, It's really about developing young people. And people would always ask me, Aaron, what kind of coach were you? How successful were you? What'd you do? I mean, what was your record? And I was like, well, I'll let you know in 10, 15, 20 years, based upon how these young men or women turn out as individuals, human beings.
Yeah.
And when you get those invitations to weddings and baby showers, that tells you you were an outstanding coach, regardless
That's
of the
win. That's the win.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So as an athletic director, I would try to find these coaches and mentor them to help them understand it's so much more than the game, man. Don't get caught up in the weeds.
Yeah.
And it was so different back in my day as opposed to today. When you have parents that are really focused on my kid's got to get a college scholarship or my kid's got to get to the league.
Yeah.
And, bring rec back, man. BRB. It all starts with the fun.
Yeah.
It starts with the fun, man.
100%. Okay, so when you're coaching and you're going through that process, now you've done this a while. So I will say for me, the biggest difference that I've seen in that youth sports area that's really hit me is the parents. People say kids have changed. They go, yeah, they may be smarter. I'll give you one. So if my coach said run through the wall, I just try to run through the wall. Nowadays, coaches say run through the wall, and the kid would say, well, that's going to hurt. And by the way, my dad's a lawyer, right? I mean, they may be smarter than you and I, but we used to run through the wall. That's what we did, right? So with those changes, but I believe it's not the kids so much, it's the parents. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Yeah. So the changes I'm seeing, but I'm curious, share with everybody, because you're in the rec space. You're at the Parks and Rec space where your job, I tell everybody in Parks and Recreation is really simple. Our number one goal is the kids are safe. The number two goal is they have such a quality experience. Win, lose, draw, doesn't matter. Learn life skills, all these factors. They want to come back and play sports again. That's it. That's the goal. Is that fair?
1,000%.
Right.
1,000%. And then that's what we focus on. And, that's what I really stress with my staff here in the city is like, hey, man, it's all about them getting in the car and explaining to them parents how much fun they had and how bad they want to go back. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the win. So how do we in the rec space? Because, I'm a rec professional. In fact, I think we first met, was it at CPRS District 9? Is that where it was?
I was on a panel in West Hollywood, the mini conference there, and you were one of the speakers there. That's how we connected.
I'll tell you what, man, that was fun watching you speak and getting energy from you. It was cool, man. You're a tough act to follow, by the way. I'm just like,
right on.
But dealing with the kids, it's like every day we have to continue to educate these parents. You started down the path. Whether your kid is a college athlete or not for us, that's not our goal, right? It's a great byproduct, but it's not our goal. So how can we engage the parents and help them to understand that whether it's a reality or not, maybe the kid's good enough, maybe not, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, my son grew 3 inches after high school. You know what I'm saying? Like things change.
Yeah, I mean, parents get caught up with in the sign of the times, right? Like
Yeah.
when you have NIL and transfer portal and kids going transferring high schools just because.
Yeah.
What's the real reasoning behind that? You know, it's what happened to the fun and the development and camaraderie and all of these life lessons that you learn from participating in sports,
Right.
perseverance, discipline, teamwork, all of these things that are really associated with being a young athlete. Parents are losing that focus
Right.
because of the way of the world of sports are changing. And the one thing about rec is like we're not changing.
Yeah.
It's all about development and fun, right? It's all about creating positive experiences for these young people.
Yeah.
Now, if you have those positive experiences that lead into wanting to do more, and you want to get training and travel ball and be prepared for the next level, then go for it. But when you're in our space, it's all about development and fun.
100%. So let me ask you a question. And so part of it is the ability to communicate, and the other side of it is, like, I'll give you an example. If we're trying to get the parents to understand that, I mean, I know you deal with it on a daily basis, as do I. I mean, right? When the parents come in and we have to kind of reshift their mindset. But what would be one thing that we can, like, if you're listening right now, parent, we're talking to you, you got a youngster that when they say, I'll give you an example. Here's some of the myths, right? Hey, Mr. Harris, no, my kid won't play rec ball because it's no good for them. It's not going to help them be better later in life.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, what a misconception, you know. I just have a real conversation with people, Aaron. Like what's your goal here? Like is rec sports, is it a babysitter? Is it something that you're expecting more than what you're getting? And
Right.
if you are, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
I have parents that come and say, "Hey, my kid needs number this, or my kid needs this coach,
Yeah.
or like my kid's not playing enough." Like, you're in the wrong space, and I just have to redirect them and help them understand this is who we are and this is what we're focusing on. It's not about the number. The kid makes the number. The number doesn't make the kid.
Amen to that. You know what else is interesting about that, man? Is that if we educate the parents and really, because I believe the one thing about rec sports, it's the most inclusive thing there is.
Yeah.
And it's everybody. And yet the foundation, from Tom Brady, I just watched on the show, to all these players, to everybody, they all played rec sports, right? They didn't go elite right away. And I think what happened is the parents that I saw, even Joe Montana played basketball, probably could, you know what I mean? Like these multi-sport components, they get the chance to experience what they want. And once the kids pick what they want, if parents are paying attention, right? You know what we do? We kind of let it be their journey. My son played baseball, basketball, football, soccer, played all the way through. My daughter, same thing, cheerleading, soccer, basketball, whatever, across the board. What's your thought on specialization versus playing everything? And at what point in your mind, if you got someone to say they're pretty good, do you think they should start to whittle that down?
Yeah. One of the things you said that jumped out to me was like, it's about their journey.
Yeah.
It's about that young person's journey, not the parents.
Yeah.
And then, I have 5 kids of my own. They were all athletes, and their journey was different. My youngest may have the most potential, but my oldest played Division I soccer. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and then everything in between. They all had their own journey. And as a former All-American athlete, believe me, I know, but I understand from a parent's perspective, it's their journey.
Yeah.
Like, I had my experience. I have my accolades, and that's just me. But I'm not forcing that on you.
Right.
Let you experience it yourself.
Yeah.
When parents tell me, Aaron, I need to be on Coach so-and-so's team, I was like, well, you've been on his team for 2 years in a row. How about you hear another voice? How about you hear another tactic and strategies? Your kid needs to experience different coaches, different sports. When you're playing different sports, all my kids, they were multiple sports participants, because you're using different muscles. right?
Well, and you're hearing,
cheering
like,
for
you're
senior
hearing
year.
different voices, and you might be really good at basketball, not as good as baseball, but on the team, you're getting a different experience from leadership and empathy and teamwork and all these different factors, like you said, that Jim Perry, I love Coach Perry said, make them good citizens, right? Because then, if you've experienced all of that, then when you get out there in the real competition, which is the real world, they're ready for that, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, and one of the things that I tell them is life is a competition, right?
Okay.
Right. And so our petition, these Fortune 500 companies are, with all things being equal, they're going to take the one that was a student athlete.
Yep. Yep.
As opposed
Especially, which is funny because when I talk to NFL, but especially Division I football coaches, they're looking for the multi-sport athlete at least till 15, 16 years old, playing track, playing hoops, and that, because then their body, it's not just worn out, but there's a lot of different opportunities that, it's funny. My mom, I remember my older sister was really quick track runner. And I think she played volleyball. And my mom, one day, I remember she talked to somebody about something. And my middle sister, she goes, well, Carolyn, as a soccer player, she's a hell of a piano player. And I was like, okay, you found her thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly, doing that. So,
hey, as an athletic director, Aaron, I really, in a small school environment, I had to internally recruit kids like, hey, I need you to play multiple sports. If you're a fantastic soccer player, you have great endurance. You'll be good on the track team. Or if you're a basketball player, how about you do cross country? You're going to be in shape when basketball season comes around. So playing multiple sports is really a big thing.
I'm finding that I think until you are maybe your sophomore year in high school, where you start to really get into your body a little bit and figure it out, man, I play as much as possible. What's frustrating to me is that with the downcline, people literally leaving sports. I think they're leaving before it really gets fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you play rec for 2 or 3 years, it gets to be pretty cool because, playing baseball when you're 5 and you can't catch the ball, that ain't much fun, Like, you stick with it and you get to that place. That's why rec is so important, man. Being able to help the kids fall in love with playing it and that. So are most of your programs that you run in the city of Inglewood, are they parent coached?
Yeah, so we are a parent. Volunteers are the backbone of our program.
Okay.
Most of them are parents. We even have incentives for registration for parents to become coaches on the team. Heck, you're going to be here anyway. You got to bring them to practice, so you might as well get involved. And from that side of things, you'll understand the inner workings, and you have to attend these coaches meetings and clinics to understand. Here's how you impact kids in a positive way, and not just your kid, but all the kids.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win, not only for the kid with their parent being a coach, but for that parent, being the coach of the team. When my youngest son Aaron was a little one in rec ball, I was his coach. And he was the only kid on the team that didn't listen to me.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. That's a thing. But coaching your own child, interesting enough, I think it can be one of the most amazing experiences.
For sure.
But it also can be really horrible, right? I mean, that's where, we do a parent orientation here at the National Academy of Athletics in the leagues we run, trying to help the parents understand that the more like-minded they can be, parent, coach, player, everybody together, man, this thing can be symbiotic and can be beautiful. On the other hand, it can be a frustrating experience. Give me a couple tips. We got some people listening. I guarantee you that out there are going to coach their own child when they're little, right? Number one for me is don't overcoach your own child. You want to feel like, well, I got to hold my child to a higher standard than anybody else. Don't do it. Just, they're on the team, because that pressure will potentially force them out. The second one that I would say is don't put your child in a position that they're the all-star by default, right? Like my kid plays shortstop. He bats second or first all the time. He pitches, he this, that, because what happens is that's an unfair pressure, even if they're that good, right? Those two things. And the last one that I would say is the ride home is the most important time of any youth sports journey. And as a parent, the best thing you do is turn the radio on and shut up. Those are right. You got anything to add to that?
Wow, man, you hit it. That's the trifecta right there, I mean, and when I get complaints from parents about some of our volunteer coaches, some of those complaints, you hit the nail on the head. Like, hey, Coach so-and-so's kid is the quarterback. Coach so-and-so's kid always has the ball. And so I use that as a recruiting tool to get that parent to coach next season.
I like that. I like what reel them in, baby. To reel them in.
For sure. You got to reel them in. And, we got to get them young, because we'll start them at the Pee Wee level. And then, before you blink your eyes, that parent has been in the league to the junior level, which is 12 to 14, So
Yeah. Love it.
Again, if the parents are having a good experience, so are the kids.
Yeah. And I tell parents, you cannot make this an amazing experience for your child, but you can absolutely ruin it. So be careful. Mm-hmm. I say there's nothing better. The times that I remember the youth sports experience, especially on the rec level, was phenomenal, because, in fact, a lot of my friends today were friends when their kids played sports. In fact, a couple of my interns played soccer with my daughter when they were 7, 8 years old. Now they're in college and they're interning for here at the National Cav Athletics. So, it's just cool sense of community. So let me ask you about coaching culture for you. So you said something that I kind of want people to understand. When a rec coach becomes a rec coach, sometimes they're just randomly selected. But from there, they go through a process. Would you talk about that a little bit? Because I think there's a misnomer that they're all horrible and miserable because they're just parent volunteers, right?
Yeah, for sure. So our coaches have to go through a background. They have to clear a background. They have to have a meeting with myself. I mean, I don't think you can get someone else that has more experience talking to coaches and pointing them in the right direction, mentoring them during the process of coaching, helping them build practice plans for 1 hour a week and having an impact. But there is a significant process, and that all starts with explaining our culture and what our expectations are. And you have to go through that process for you even to step foot on the court or on the field with kids in our program.
I feel like, in the old days, there was immediate respect for military, police, fire, coaches, teachers, Mr. Johnson down the street. And that's kind of missed. And for me, I'm a big one, especially if you, hey, man, Coach Anthony Harris is coming out and volunteering to coach my child. Man, I am so grateful and so appreciative. I would always do whatever I can to support you, Coach, because you are going to help my child have an experience that hopefully is good enough they want to keep playing. So as a parent out there, remember that you don't want to put your child in a position where they got to choose the difference. I'll give an example. If the ball's hit to the outfield and Anthony, you're coaching Little League, and you say, hit the cutoff, right? Mm-hmm. My kid's a stud. He can throw it all the way home. Throw it home. I'm screaming, right? And you're saying, hit the cutoff, because that's what you've trained. And now my son has to make a decision with pressure to listen to the coach who's supposed to know what's going on, right? And hit the cutoff, or the parent that feeds him. You know what I'm saying? And
for sure, that's an undermining mentality for a parent, Right. That's an individual thought process. It's really about the team, and you gotta explain that. And so we do a good job in doing that in our parent meetings. So we help our parents understand what those expectations are of them and how they're going to be held to our code of conduct. But then also how we're holding our coaches to the same code of conduct. And here are the expectations in the culture that we stress with our coaches as well. So when everybody is informed, it's a good situation.
Yeah, and I know you one of the reasons why we vibe so well, you do a lot of work with that, because you know the value that, look, this doesn't work without the coaches, right? And so we need to support that whatever we can. And that's part of it. And you, more than many, but a lot in the Parks and Rec, man, you've got the layout, you've got the whole thing, and now these people have to step in. And yet most youth sports coaches, almost 70%, quit after 2 seasons because it's too much negativity from the parents.
For sure, 100%. And think about this, Aaron. It is so difficult to find officials nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness.
So the officials are either extremely old or extremely young, and hard to find the ones in between because they can't take the pressure from the stands and the parents shouting and man, you really have to control that environment for everyone to have a positive experience.
Right. Yeah. And it really is everybody on the same page together. I feel like that there's an understanding for some reason that if they're out there refereeing and wearing the stripes, well, then we paid our money, even if they get in for free, so we can just yell at them. Right. And I think they don't understand, once again, without the coach, you can't have the game. Without the referee, you really can't have the game, right?
Right.
By the way, if you want to get out there and ref, call 1-800-REF. They need you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's such a huge shortage in sports officials, particularly in the youth level and the high school level. It's insane right now, you know?
Toughest job in America.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, we're going to run up on the break here, but I got one question I want to give you some mood of thought. We're going to have a commercial break. We'll come out of it, but I want to talk about coaching, and I want you to think about maybe one or two coaches specifically that have changed your life, that are things that you, or attributes that you not only do yourself, that have helped you be maybe a better father because you use you with your kids and things like that. But also these will be good tips for those that are out there that are coming up. Because I think, look, there is no better life skill teaching tool than youth sports. But the amazing thing to me, as much as I gave to those kids, and I know, man, I gave and gave and gave, you know what? I got it tenfold back. It's the boomerang of amazingness that happens when you're a youth coach. So we're going to take a break. Jovi, go ahead and run those spots. When we get back, we're going to talk about youth sports coaching, what makes a good coach, and to take it to the next level. We're right back in 2 and 2. See you there.
Before the game, before the lights, before the pressure, there's a moment most people never see. Welcome to The Athlete's Commute, a podcast distributed by DPRS Media Network, co-produced by Her Sports, and hosted by Jordan Ziff. Each episode, Jordan gets behind the wheel, driving athletes to practice, to training, to game day, while getting to know who they really are beyond the jersey. The mindset, the grind, the sacrifices, the moments no one talks about. No scripts, no filters, just real conversations in real motion. Because every athlete has a journey, and every journey deserves to be heard. This is The Athlete's Commute. Buckle up.
On the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we bring you the real stories of tomorrow's professionals, people shaping the future, one idea at a time. Meet the very first DPRS interns to officially host their own segment, Aidan Tierney and Michael Morrow. With curiosity, passion, and a fresh perspective, they're stepping into the spotlight to lead meaningful conversations with today's rising leaders. The Young Professionals Network takes you inside the journeys, challenges, and major wins of young individuals making their mark across industries. From first jobs to bold ventures, every story fuels growth, ambition, and innovation. Each episode brings real conversations, fresh perspectives, and impactful insights created to motivate the next generation of professionals. Whether you're just starting out, exploring new paths, or figuring out your next move. Tune in to the Young Professionals Network every Thursday at 5 p.m. only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Don't miss it, because your next big idea might be one story away.
And we're back here on the Youth Sports Mastery Show. Anthony, thanks for sticking around through the break. Thinking about you down in Inglewood with the lovely weather and all that, and I'm thinking you're going to go out and you might even have games later today, definitely this weekend, whatever sports are going on. So look, we can dig into different components, but one big thing for me, I'm big on coaching. I'm big on coaches because I think they're the thread on many levels. But let's just talk about to be a good youth sports coach, right? What are some of the traits? Because I know we can talk about the benefits in a minute, but what are we looking for? What makes a good youth sports coach?
Well, it's a big responsibility, and I hope coaches understand that. But when you ask the question, I wrote down a few things that just came to mind. And number one is just really being organized, because when you're organized, you're using your time wisely. There's not a lot of time for clowning around, procrastination and what have you. So when you're organized, your practice is structured and the kids are really staying locked in. And then I would say, teach in short segments. Really take that practice plan and divide it up into really short segments so you can keep the kids' attention and keep them active. And then positive reinforcement, man, times 10. Positive reinforcement. Hey, what a great job, you know. And then progression with developmental skills. Just take it one step at a time. And the goal at the end of the season is to be able to do something well, as opposed to something that you just introduced in the beginning of the season.
Right.
So, yeah, I would say those are my tips.
Yeah, I love that. When you talk about the segments, obviously at the National Academy of Athletics, we've got my trademark talk, teach, play, which is 3 minutes of verbal instruction, 6 minutes of skill development, 6 minutes of play, water break, get to the next thing. So it keeps it moving, because the kids' attention spans are different. But like you said, and I love that, man, organization, structure. And if you've never done it before, the good news is, if you're a parent volunteer out there, there's this thing called YouTube, and you can get all the drills you want. But getting that practice organization, because here's the deal. I think down in Inglewood, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys get 9 weeks of preseason double-day practice with training and nutrition, right? 4 days a week, and then weekend clinics, and then your game starts. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, no way. The other end of the spectrum there, sir.
Yeah. So if you're gonna coach a team, and you've got 1 hour practice 1 day a week, and then your games start in 2 weeks, I'll tell you what, man, KISS, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, think about it. So it's funny when I go in and I do coaching clinics or trainings, and they say, hey, I want to show you my plan. I said, oh, let's see your plan. They got like the book. I'm like, all right, here's the book.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you coaching? Well, I'm coaching these 10-year-olds. I said, okay, let's go. It's like, well, here's the first 7 options of the offense. I'm okay. Well, it's probably 7 too many options, right?
Right, for sure.
Just keep it simple, right? Right? Keep it simple. Have your plan and teach. What I love, Ronnie Lott. I got to work a little bit with Ronnie Lott, and he said particles, man. Right? Teach the part, which becomes the whole. Right?
Yes. And then get their feedback. Like, what do we at the end of practice? What did we learn today? We talked about zone defense for the last hour. And moving that ball around and sliding with the ball and turning to make sure where our 2-3 zone is still a 2-3 zone, whether it's in the middle of the court or either side of the court.
I can't believe you said zone. I don't want to lie. We're not playing zone, but I hear you. Okay, so how about this? How about being realistic with expectations? I'll give an example, and I've said this a million times on the show, but if you were a Major League Baseball player and you played 10 seasons for the San Francisco Giants, or for you, the Los Angeles, whatever they're called, right? You played for that blue team, and you played 10 seasons, and you got out 7 out of 10 times. What would you be? 300 hitter?
Probably a 300 hitter.
Hall of Famer, right? I mean, come on, rich. So look, parents, your kid is not going to be better than the best in the world when they're starting out. So manage the expectations. For me, I'm big on this. Focus on the effort rather than just the result. Because you know as well as I do, man, right? When we teach it, if they can get a little bit of that basic fundamental, and they understand the effort and they understand the concept, and then we get out of the way, they'll figure it out, right?
Oh man, hitting the nail on the head again. I really feel like you gotta press reset every time you're out there with the kids. 'Cause repetition is everything. And once you start repping things that you're doing, you'll see that they're going to step in the batter's box in the right way, and you're like, whoa, that he's got it now. And now he's got a level swing, and now we're hitting the ball up the middle of the field. So these little things, repetition, right, into progression, and you could see it. And it's, parents, it's not what they do at practice. It's what they do away from practice. So help them a little bit during the week when you can.
And one of my fun jobs, I was the umpire in the Giants television commercials for San Francisco Giants. I got to hang around with Belt, Posey, Panic, and these guys. And I remember Panic saying that he would take 50 ground balls 365 days a year. And it's like, even like in a hallway with a tennis ball, just to do that. And then Posey said, so how much of a passion do you have to have for something to do that, right? So one of the things I think as a youth sports coach, youth sports parent, is we have to inspire passion, so they'll want to work through the stuff that's not fun or as fun, right? So then it becomes fun, and then they become what their true potential is. Is that a fair statement?
I do, but I think it becomes fun when you're able to execute what you're being taught.
Yeah, right.
So it becomes a lot more fun when you're starting to scoop that ground ball.
Yeah.
It becomes a lot more fun when you're starting to make contact with the ball.
Amen. Yeah, right. But like you said, it was interesting because if the kid's up there swinging and they miss 4 in a row and then they foul one off, talk about the one they fouled off.
Yeah.
They know they missed the other 4, right? Hey, nice job. Now you're getting contact. Let's go. Hunt contact, right? Watch the ball hit the bat, whatever it is, but keeping those simple, I would say this, keep simple one-line things that can encourage them. They know they missed the first one. They can see too, right?
Yeah, and then that's that positive reinforcement that I talked about. As a coach, especially in rec and dealing with youth, positive reinforcement is everything. Heck, I tell my coaches like, hey, you may not have won on the scoreboard, but heck, you guys had 3 runners on base this game. You guys hadn't had a runner on base in 2 games. That's a major accomplishment. That is a win.
Yeah, that's
So take those small wins, man.
So where does that come from? I think about that sometimes, about experiences that we have that we leaders have to translate in. But to me, the biggest that I've had have actually been the losses, right? Because we're resilient. You mentioned about house, like I had 2 houses burned down that we had to rebuild through fires, and thank God for insurance and we're okay and all that. But think about for yourself, realistically, to be successful in the game of life, it really is more about your ability to get back up, right? And through sports. So I think that's really one of the pieces, is that we've got to help kids and their parents understand about the pressure associated with, allowing the kids to go through that process of failure to be able to get themselves back up, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, perseverance is one of those life lessons associated with, sports participation that you take with you. And it's not really all about the scoreboard. We talk about wins and losses. They happen in the course of practice, in the course of training, in the course of the game. But those are the things that you take with you. I'm a big component of press and reset every day, whether I did something perfectly and the execution was out of this world, or I made some mistakes. Press reset and get back after it the next day. So yeah, for sure.
So there tends to be this pressure to be perfect, or to be that, which comes from some coaches, and I get the Bill Walsh, you're going to run the play 71 times until you get it right. I understand that. Now, again, those are the best athletes in the world, and we get that. For the youth, what would you talk about the repetition, the failure rate? How do you want your coaches, how do you suggest they approach their practice in terms of dealing with the success and failure in any drill or any station and what they're doing? Because we do want the kids to learn competitive spirit, right? That's part of this, right?
Oh, for sure. But I think the only thing that you can get perfect as a coach, or even as a youngster, is perfect attitude and perfect effort every day. And if your attitude is great and your effort is great, you're going to learn and you're going to get the reps in and you're going to start to develop. So control that, and you got a good thing coming.
Yeah, I said that the other day on one of my posts, that the only 2 things you can control in life, right, is your attitude and effort. You can't control what pitch they throw to you, right? You know what I mean? But that's what it is. You're right, attitude and effort. If we're trying to recruit, I'm a big fan of rec sports. I mean, I think it's so much more important. Yet I see that club and elite and travel and this stuff is just taking off. How do we create a commercial to help these parents, to help people realize the value of rec sports? The whole concept we have at National Capital Athletics, right, is bring back rec, man. We bring back rec. I'm telling municipalities, own it. Get your fields back and bring back rec. Put rec back on your fields. More kids are going to come back and play. But how can we encourage? What can you do to help me encourage a parent who's like, well, they said that my child, I know they're only 7, but they should be on this elite travel soccer that plays 900 games in 3 weeks in 4 countries and all that, versus playing rec. What can we do to kind of help enlighten that? Or yeah.
I think you need to stress balance. there's a balance that needs to be set between, school and family time and sports, and then focus on really having fun. I can guarantee you, at 7 years old on the travel team with this pressure and this nonstop schedule, by the time the kid goes to high school, they're going to be burned out and they don't want to play that sport anymore. So really focus on balance and getting feedback from your kid on, are they having fun, or do you want to do something else? Really supporting them in that way and really listening to them, and stop having this agenda that because I'm playing travel ball at 7 years old means I'm going to have a Division I scholarship and I'm going to be playing in the FIFA World Cup in 2028.
Well, the other one that's interesting to me too is the fact that they're talking about, well, like I had a coach the other day who was telling me the basketball, we haven't lost in 2 years. And I said, I feel sorry for your kids.
Right.
Said, what do you mean? I said, what's going to happen when they lose, coach?
Yeah.
Are you?
That's where the character is developed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. When I just get a clinic down in Santa Clara, and I asked the parent volunteers, I said, all these parents, I said, how many of you are ready for your child to fail this season? They're excited for your child to fail. And they looked at me like I was nuts. I said, how many are ready to embrace the suck? Because that's the process, right? Losing sucks, man, but that's when the work is done, right? That's when you learn, develop, grow to glow. That's when this all happens, right?
Yeah, and you talk about, hey, I know your team, hasn't won on the scoreboard, but we got to keep going after it. We made a commitment to this team for 10 weeks. We're going to keep coming. I'm not going to let you quit, right? But we're going to try to find the fun here and reset every week and keep on coming back, right? That's really the message.
Yeah, and I love that. And when I was coaching my daughter, she had this little girls basketball team, and my daughter was the only one that played any basketball at all. And there's like 17 girls on this team, and I had to figure out how to get them all to play. So I made very simple rules, but one goal was to get 10 shots up every quarter. Because I thought, now again, if they go in, they go in, but at least get the shot, because they were nervous to shoot. They're afraid to miss. They didn't know. I'm like, man, go down there and let it fly, because I figured if you get 10 shots a quarter, that's 40 shots a game, right? And per quarter, 2 because of luck, 1 because of skill, that's 6, 12, 18, 24 points. Fourth grade basketball, 24 points. You got a shot at winning that game,
Oh yeah, for sure. You're in that game, 100%.
Yeah. Plus, they had so much fun. They were celebrating the effort. They were less concerned with that. And now later in life, we could focus more on technique and don't just throw it up from half court to get the 10th shot or went over the backboard. But I mean, they were literally cheering. If it went over the backboard, they were excited. I'm like, all right, well, we got to, adjust the goal a little bit.
Yeah. No, I love that. So let's meet the goal every quarter,
There you go. And it's funny because like you said earlier about the structure, if you can break it down to little pieces, right? Because then halfway through the season, I said, okay, we're adding another goal. And they're like, okay, what is it, coach? I said, I want 2 steals, 2 takeaways from the other team each quarter. So now they had to learn to be a little more aggressive and take it. You know what I mean? Rather than whatever it was, things like that. So it's good.
Sure.
So if there's this thing, I know I'm talking to CPRS coming up in March about it, but insourcing versus outsourcing in the partnership, right? Mm-hmm. What do you look for in a good community partner? I think for rec departments, in fact, I just got a call from South Carolina and some of these that are looking to bring back recreational sports. And they're like, we don't have the staff. We got a field, we can take registration, but we don't have anything else. And that's obviously where we come in. We can help to partner with them. But what would you say would be, in your experience, a good community partner, whether it's someone that's teaching yoga or sports or whatever the case is? What would you look for in a good community partner?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about partner, it's that's a partnership. So it's both involved have something to offer. Whether we have the kids and you have the support in regards to uniforms or facility or whatever it may be. So a good partner, they're offering each other something that's beneficial for each. In Inglewood, City of Champions, man, we're lucky because we have community partners like the Los Angeles Rams and the back-to-back world champion Los Angeles Dodgers.
You can cut that. We can cut that out. You might get another one too. My goodness.
Yeah. So I mean, but we have a soccer program here that we run ourselves that we're looking for a community partner, and I'm not willing to take any community partner. I'm willing to listen to those who can kind of reach the standard that these other programs or these other community partners have kind of brought the level of our Inglewood Youth Sports League to. So you really have to be able to provide something on both ends of that partnership. So that's what we're looking for.
I like it. One of the things that happened, just quick history, in 2008, 2009, money got tight, right? We went through the Depression. When that happened, a lot of municipalities started to outsource in the sense of giving clubs and organizations and saying, you know what, you run the programs on our fields, and we'll just back off, because then we don't have to pay for that, and we'll just get a couple bucks because it's rented, right? And then during the pandemic, it became even more so because of the liabilities. So a lot of municipalities said, we're out. You know what? Your club, take care of it. Well, we did a study with a city. I met with the city manager and the rec supervisor, and they said, we don't need to do anything because we've got 1,200 kids playing soccer here in town. And I said, okay, let's take a look at those 1,200 kids, right? So it was a soccer club. So what happened was, of those 1,200 kids, only 487 actually live in the city limits, right? Right. So a city of 129,000 people, only that few were playing soccer, right? So that made a red flag a little bit, right? Which obviously, if you're a city municipality, and there was no additional fees or anything associated. Two is only 350 of those kids played rec. So I think, to me, we got to get the mentality out there that there's nothing. Look, I don't want to say there's nothing wrong with club and elite and travel. I'm not against those for some kids, but I think the majority of kids should be rec kids. And I think what the municipalities need to think about when you look at this situation is, yeah, you may have just outsourced and just let it all go, but there is a balance. You said the word balance. I love that. Right? Like, how do you guys find the balance of use of your fields? Because look, man, I know you got bills to pay, and I know there's pressures on the almighty dollar. There's pressures on residents. There's pressures on kids. There's pressures on all these. So how do you balance that out?
Well, I'll say first things first. Our rec programs take precedence over every program in the city. So if we have our soccer league that's happening right now we're in quarter one of our system here, and our user groups, which are youth sports groups like travel teams and local clubs and what have you, they understand. During this time, during quarter one, City of Inglewood has their youth soccer league, and we're not going to have as many days, or we're not going to have as much time because their program comes first. So they understand that. And I think it speaks volumes to our parents as well on how much value we give our program here in the city. So yeah, when you talk about those outside programs, some of those programs try to poach our kids.
Yeah.
And, because of the program that we've built, our parents are like, maybe it's something that we will consider after the city season, and that's that balance that we talked about. And that we need. And we encourage our kids, look, after basketball is either track and field or baseball, softball. We encourage them to stay in our program, sport after sport after sport.
Yeah, you're building such a well-rounded athlete. Like you said, they get such a different experience from that across the board. So if a rec department was getting back into the sports space, because there's a lot of them that with the budget cuts and then with the pandemic, there's a lot throughout the country that they just cut it out. They just have said, we're out. So got any suggestions for them on how to start back up again? Obviously if they have the wherewithal and you could do it all in house, that's all beautiful. May not realistic for everything, because how many of them know pickleball or dodgeball or kickball, whatever it is, but right. So to maximize space, got some tips for them? Because you've done this a while. I wonder, get some ideas about if they're trying to bring back rec sports, what they could do.
Yeah, you talked about community partners, right? A great community partner would be like an NA of A, to where they can come in and they can do anything you need with the young people that you have, creating positive experiences, doing it in a fantastic professional way, and enhancing the programs that you may need help with. So
Mhm.
someone who has experience and someone who is nationwide and someone who is very professional and has quality individuals working for their program can come in and help you run these programs and build these programs and build your reputation in your city for having quality sports programs. And then you have that win-win on both sides. So that makes a fantastic community partner.
Love it. At NAFA, we've got a lot of our league play, probably over 80% of our leagues are practice play one day. So basically, it might be a 6-week or an 8-week. We realize parents are busy, right? We want to keep the league as affordable as possible. So we do 45-minute, you come in, skill development practice, and then we go play games and start out with scrimmages and build up from there. So they learn the concepts, the understanding across the board. How are most of your leagues structured?
Same exact way. So we practice once a week. You get 1 hour practice a week, and then you get 1 hour game a week.
Okay. And those are 2 days a week, most of your leagues? Or the
Yes.
same? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the concept for the littles. So 3, 4, 5-year-olds having practice and the games on the same day. I love that concept. We haven't done that yet, but that's probably coming down the line.
Yeah, Parks and Rec, if you're out there and you're thinking about it, it really works well with us. One of the things we've found that I think that really helps is because the parents are so busy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a mom up in the Rockland area, and she says, she comes in, she drops the kid off, she goes and gets her Starbucks, does whatever she needs to do, and then she comes back and watches them play the game, and then they go home. And it's like an hour and a half later, they've had the sports experience. They learned the fundamentals, they got the whole deal. Plus, interesting enough, when the parents back away and you cut that umbilical cord and you let that child go have that experience and let it be their experience, I think the experience is that much better. Yeah.
I would agree. I like that concept for the little ones because what you teach them in that first 45 minutes, they're able to really execute it in the game. It's not something that they have to kind of remember over the course of a week and then do it on Saturday,
Right.
And then I also like that 90-minute window because, like you said, that parent can go shop for dinner or whatever they need to do as opposed to just sitting there because that hour happens so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. Give them that time. So, as we travel and you do more work with National Cav Athletics and you're out there doing more in that, I'm wondering, one of the things I've been trying to figure out is I want to be a leader in youth sports. I guess after doing this for 4 decades, I kind of am by default, but I want us to step up more. Do you see anything that's needed? I mean, you've had a lot of kids coming through. What are maybe a few things that you see that are needed in the youth sports space to help get kids back engaged? Because it's scary to me. When I was a kid, 8, 9 out of 10 kids played a team sport each year, and now it's less than 5. And they got to get off these things, man. Get out there and use their bodies, right? So you got to things like that, maybe to help, encourage kids get back, or maybe some ideas to get the parents to say, because what about here's one that'll make it easy for you. My kid's 7. He's not a sports kid.
Yeah. Okay. Well, kids need to move, and it doesn't really need to be associated with a team sport. One of the things that I learned in rec as a youngster myself was, and I'll ask you this question, Aaron, how many kids know how to jump rope nowadays? Not
right.
Not many at all.
How about the hopscotch, right, at the school? The
hopscotch, foursquare, kickball, handball. They don't know how to do it. I told my 17-year-old son, watch me run to this fence. I'll hop that fence in less than 5 seconds. And he's like on the fence, and I'm like, over the fence. Those are the things we used to do in the old days. Who knows how to play ping pong and bumper pool and those kinds of things that we played in the Boys and Girls Club? That's rec.
Yeah.
That's the fun part about it. Once we start bringing those types of things back, and then, adding the sport in there with it, and changing mentality of parents as opposed to I need to be this quality trained Division I athlete to be successful. Let's focus on just rec, right? And having fun, and then let the other stuff develop.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Last week I had Michael Stone. He played 7 seasons in the NFL. He talked about he didn't start playing football till he was 12, right? And his son played 1 year of high school football, walked on, ended up getting to play for Missouri, and now just transferred through the portal, and now is going to be playing with a scholarship with NIL money because he's athletic And like you said, he played all these different. I tell everybody, man, a child's body is an all-terrain vehicle, and man, we got to let him drive it. How many kids you see with a cast on their arm?
Man.
You know, because they don't take those healthy risks. They don't try skateboarding. They don't try those other things to run and jump over, kick, whatever it is, right? That's what, man, we sound like a bunch of old guys here talking. All right. Hey, for the wrap up, if people want to learn more and want to connect with you, because I guarantee you, I've seen your sports program and they're top notch, maybe in the country. I feel that way, definitely. So how would people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about what you got going on, what you're doing, get involved, maybe pick your brain?
Yeah, so they would go on to our Inglewood Youth Sports League website, which is cityofinglewood.leagueapps.com. And all of our contact information there is there, our mission, our vision, our schedules, our annual calendar, everything you need to know about our program is there on our athletic website. It's our one-stop shop for information. So that's cityofinglewood.leagueapps.com.
Inglewood with an I. There's an Inglewood with an E in Colorado. So just in case you know, there used to be this building down there. I think they called it the Forum or something like that. But another time ago.
Very historic building.
Just a little something there. So.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, I appreciate your time and energy. And I know as you do work with us with the NASCAB Athletics and watching kids grow, especially down in that region and what's happening, youth sports is amazing. And if us parents, if us adults that are in charge of youth sports really focus on the real thing, which is to help kids become good citizens and successful in the real game, which is life, man, good things are going to happen. So appreciate everybody's time today. Anthony, man, love you, brother, man. Thanks for coming on and spending time with you. The best is yet to come. Youth Sports Mastery. Thanks again for everybody on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, and we'll see y'all next week.
My pleasure.
Care.
Thank you.
Everybody. Take care.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
JDP Services Management Consulting, supporting parks and recreation and the essential service they provide. Communities benefit greatly from having dedicated advocates who champion the value of play in open spaces. Such advocacy ensures that recreational areas are prioritized and managed in ways that enhance the overall quality of life for everyone. We are dedicated to fortifying public park and recreation agencies and other related organizations by taking a practical, engaged approach to consulting and training, addressing immediate needs while equipping clients with lasting insight and tools to strengthen their organizations for long-term success. JDP Services, Management Consulting, meeting needs and exceeding expectations.
It didn't start with a studio, or a big budget, or a perfect plan. It started with belief. Belief that stories matter. Belief that voices deserve to be heard. Belief that community is powerful. What began as a single conversation has grown into something far bigger than us. Today we pause, we reflect, and we say thank you. To our guests, thank you for showing up, for being honest, for trusting us with your stories and letting the world hear them. To our partners and sponsors, thank you for standing with us when the vision was still taking shape. Your belief gave this network its foundation. And to our audience, the ones who listened, who watched, who shared, who believed. You didn't just support DPRS Media Network, you built it. This past year changed everything. We grew our shows, we raised our standards, we reached new communities, and we told stories that needed to be told. From parks and recreation, to sports, youth, technology, and culture. We learned something important. Growth isn't about numbers, it's about impact. As we grow, our mission becomes clear. Our mission is to create media that matters, media that educates, media that inspires, media that connects people through honest, human storytelling. To spotlight the people, the programs, and the ideas shaping parks, recreation, sports, and the future of our shared spaces. And our vision is bold. We envision a media network that doesn't just document the world, but helps shape it, where local voices spark global change, where communities see themselves reflected, and where media is a force for good. The future ahead is bigger than any single episode. More voices, more stories, more collaboration. Live events, original films, deeper conversations, and a growing community united by purpose. From episode 1 to episode 400, thank you for believing when it was hard. Thank you for staying when it was uncertain. And thank you for walking this journey with us. This is DPRS Media Network, built by community, driven by purpose, powered by stories. And we're just getting started.